What do you think, Wackus Bonkus? Kill him. Who? You naughty Wackus Bonkus.
Today I think I'm going to share a little bit of my dinner with you. I already started snacking on it when I was doing the pictures, but I think I can let you see the rest of it. I hope all this goes to my belly and hips.
It's actually really good garlic bread. Garlic bread is my favorite food. I could honestly eat it for every meal. Or just eat it all the time without even stopping.
You get fat.
No, why would I get fat?
Bread makes you fat.
Bread makes you fat?
One of the most common questions I get is, how can you say there's no relationship between weight and health? And first of all, virtually nobody is saying that. What I and many other fat activists are saying, and in fact we're begging people to understand this, is that as it stands in the current research, the relationship between weight and health is correlational, not causal. So some research methods 101. When two things are correlated, it means that they're happening at the same time. It does not mean that one thing is causing the other thing. For example, there's a very strong correlation between male pattern baldness and heart attacks, which is true. Now, based on that information, should we ascertain that baldness causes heart attacks? Should we try to get bald men to grow hair in an effort to reduce their likelihood of having a heart attack and then blame them when they can't do it? No, because what's actually happening is that a third factor seems to be at play, which contributes to both baldness and heart attacks. What I'm suggesting is that we look much more closely at the third factors at play when it comes to weight and health. For example, fat people frequently have our blood pressure taken with blood pressure cuffs that are too small. The problem with that is that when you use a cuff that's too small, it will always result in a false high reading. And this happens all the time. So these are the kinds of things I think about when someone says that fat people have higher rates of hypertension. I think, of course we do. We are constantly getting false high readings. And more broadly, there are a number of very influential third factors that contribute to the overall trend of health problems for fat people, such as weight stigma, also known as the stress of discrimination, something that fat people experience a lot. Another is weight cycling. Virtually all fat people have tried to lose weight at some point in our lives, but pursuing weight loss is a virtual guarantee that someone will experience weight cycling, which is extremely hard on the body. And finally, we have inaccessible, inequitable, and biased healthcare. Fat people experience all of these things, and all of them contribute to illness. But despite all of these third factors, discrimination, stress, weight cycling, limited healthcare, biased healthcare, incompetent healthcare, and a lack of proper medical equipment, the cultural conversation around weight and health refuses to evolve. People, especially thin people, tend to be very committed to upholding fat phobia. People are just more comfortable believing that fat people do bad things and that leads to bad health, and thin people do good things and that leads to good health, despite the fact that we know that's very misleading, very stigmatizing, and often untrue. Turns out the pushback that I get on this topic, it's not really about health. It was fat phobia all along, guys.
I just want to say that I love you with all my belly. I would say that I love you with all my heart, but my belly is bigger.
Look at that jiggle. So I had a doctor's appointment today, and it was a follow-up to the last few weeks have been a little bit of a shit show. Something small happened that ended up causing a couple surgeries, and it turned into being a bigger deal than it needed to be. Part of what happened, though, unfortunately, meant a lot less intake than I would normally have, especially in my recovered life. And my body has really taken a hit because of it. My heart, my blood pressure, all of that. Well, my doctor today asked me what my intake has looked like these last several days. So I did like a 24-hour review of what I'd eaten. And she was like, "Oh, that's great." She went on to say a couple other things, and she's like, "Well, good. At least you're not eating pizza." And to that I say,
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, to my TED Talk.
Step right up, let's get your weight. Thank you, I'll pass.
Go ahead and stand on the scale.
No, really. You can put refused on the charts.
I have to write this arbitrary number down. Stand on the scale.
So here's the deal. You can have my weight if and only if the doctor needs it to prescribe me a new med or if I'm going under general anesthesia. Otherwise, you can put refused on the charts. Thanks.
Fourth time I've filmed this now because I'm getting angry. I've had quite a few comments this week of people saying things like, oh, well, it works for me. Oh, well, I've lost such and such weight. Well, I know someone who works for. Each to their own. Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast don't work for anyone. The vast majority of people are going to lose weight when they first start. Then it's going to stop. Then about 90% of people are either going to regain it, regain more weight, hello, or in some cases, get a fucking eating disorder. I lost 4 stone at Slimming World. So don't be sat there thinking that just because you've lost weight now, that you've won in that equation. You ain't. They're playing you. No one in diet culture, in any diet company, is winning unless you are the owner of that business, because that's where the money's going. Diet clubs will feed you lies about nutrition and health and tell you that being thin equals healthy. It's not. It's fat phobic. It's inaccurate. They want your money. They don't give a shit about your health or your well-being.
Say that your heartburn and your back pain is caused by your weight. What are we going to do about that? If I were to prescribe you a low-calorie diet and exercise, I know that 1 to 2/3 of that weight is going to be regained in 1 year, and almost all of it will be regained within 5. Health at Every Size is actually a multidisciplinary approach that shifts the focus from weight management to health promotion. So instead of using weight as a barometer for success, we focus on health behaviors. Health at Every Size is also a social justice movement. Patients in larger bodies face many disparities. Healthcare providers spend less time with them, are more reluctant to perform screening tests like mammograms and pelvic exams, and they're less likely to seek medical help. You are right about the shaming piece, that's called weight stigma, which negatively impacts patients even on a physiologic level. Several well-designed randomized control trials have found that health at every size leads to better patient outcomes.
Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy, and I am 100% glorifying obesity, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Now this is problematic, but here's why. I will not be commenting whether I have or not, because that's not the point. But let's say for hypothetical purposes that my body has changed. You don't know what it took to get there. If I was starving, restricted, dehydrated, overexercised, all in the name of I'm on a ED recovery journey, not a weight loss journey. By this narrative, it means that I don't deserve to recover unless I'm smaller. I'm not worthy enough of recovering unless I'm in a smaller body, which is not the case. And also really a key concept for me to be able to come to terms with my eating disorder. It was really hard for me to let go of that dream, but that dream kept me the sickest. So yes, I'm striving for health, but it has nothing to do with weight loss.
So as you can see, this is the hashtag body positivity on Instagram, and it's mostly straight sized people with a few plus size people sprinkled in. And it's a huge reason why I emphasize that I'm talking about fat acceptance when I talk about my experience as a fat person, because even though body positivity has its roots in fat acceptance, it has become something that's more for people who have a certain body type. And that is fine. I'm all for being confident in who you are and accepting who you are despite what society has told you, no matter what your size is. However, I specifically want to uplift and bring acceptance to my fat people. So that's why I specifically use fat acceptance.
Let's talk about it, because I think if we clear up this confusion, we'll all be a lot more on the same page. We do not have as much control over the size of our bodies as society would like us to think we do. Just like your height, the biggest determining factor of your body size is genetics. Also environment, also socioeconomic status, also epigenetic factors. A very, very small percentage of what determines the way our body looks is individual behaviors like what we eat and how we move. When you add that to the fact that 95% of intentional weight loss efforts fail, and most actually result in weight gain and are extremely detrimental to a person's health, you see how the logic of oppression only being about things that you don't have control over applies to anti-fat bias.
When real fat women get banned from posting and get put under review for showing their body.
If you have not seen this video, go watch the full thing. Hannah the Harpist speaking straight facts again. This video is actually directed at this comment that I saw in her comment section of somebody stating straight nonsense. Being fat does not equal unhealthy. I'm gonna say it again. Being fat does not equal unhealthy. In fact, a Harvard 2019 study suggested that 70% of weight is caused by genetics, not diet and exercise. Genetics. And on top of that, most people who are classified as obese or overweight are actually perfectly healthy. According to a 2015 study by UCLA, 54 million Americans are classified as obese or overweight, even though they're perfectly healthy individuals. And even if it did have to do with health, it doesn't. Did you know that doctors can legally discriminate against a person for being fat? How the fuck are they supposed to fix a health issue if doctors can legally discriminate against their health? Fat phobia has nothing to do with science and everything to do with hating fat people for no fucking reason.